Oh, poor donkeys. They have served man for donkey's years. They have been treated so unfairly and considered stupid. Even men are called asses when they do something wrong, comparing them with a donkey. In fact, donkeys are very intelligent, strong and faithful animals. About 20 heavily overloaded donkeys were walking up in an orderly queue. The mule driver shouted constantly at them, urging them to go faster and faster. "This is what cruelty is," Papa said. "I was on my way to Bogota with many days ahead of travelling here and there. At sunset, I stopped at an inn, and a man and his donkeys were staying in the stables. The next day I caught up with them again, later in the morning. However, the way the man was treating the donkeys was the same as the day before. One of the donkeys refused to move, and so his owner gave him a terrible beating. Where the road narrowed were cliffs all around, so we all slowed down. Further on, the open fields appeared, and the pastures invited the donkeys to relax and have some juicy blades of grass. The awful mule driver started to harass the donkeys and jabbed them with a stick. I was not far away when I saw the donkey that had been beaten turn around and give him a good kick. The man tumbled and fell to the ground. Tragically, this donkey then returned to the cliffs and threw itself off the precipice to its death at the bottom of the gorge. Papa told me donkeys in desperate situations can become suicidal. Similarly, humans sometimes choose to commit suicide when they feel there is no way out of a problem. The weather changed drastically over the last 10 days of my father's trip, and the sky was mainly overcast. Although he managed to reach the capital city on time, the rainy season was about to start. He hated shopping, but he didn't want to meet his family badly dressed, so he bought a suit and shoes and some clothes appropriate for the cold of Bogota. Grandma clung to my father's neck, embracing and kissing him. "It's such a surprise to see you, out of the blue," she said. "I wasn't expecting you so soon. Your brother never told me that you would be coming today." "Mum, Daniel did not know for sure that I would come. The important thing is I am here. I have been travelling for a couple of weeks, and I am really quite exhausted." "Well," Grandma said, taking him by the hand, "you should first have something to eat and then have some rest. In the evening, when your brother comes back from work, we will catch up with each other's news." As he ate a bowl of lovely steaming soup, Papa told Grandma, "I have been longing for your cooking." He held her hand, saying, "I love you so much, and you cannot imagine how much I missed you all these years." His feet were hurting in his tight new shoes, and Papa was relieved when he took them off and untied his tie. He undressed and went to bed, a bed with blankets, a pillow, and a hot water bottle that his mum brought to him. Then he slept like a log and dreamed about a paradise where he was amidst the most beautiful butterflies and the animals were running free. When he woke up, his brother was sitting in a big chair with his head hanging backwards and his eyes closed. Papa murmured gently, "Gosh, 10 years have flown by so quickly, and we are both getting old." That night, Maria Luisa, Daniel, and Guillermo stayed awake until very late, laughing and crying. They had heard and enjoyed my father's stories, but mainly they were happy that he had survived all his adventures. "Now," Papa said, "I would like to know how life has treated you." Grandma complained about her aches and pains. "I am still sewing every day," she said. "It seems as if the sewing machine and I are one. It brings a useful income into the house." Daniel said, "I have been telling Mum that she has to rest, but she doesn't listen. Also, I can afford to maintain the house on my own. Perhaps she will slow down now that you have come to stay with us." Papa looked Daniel in the eye and asked, "Are you happy at work? It seems to me that the people in the pharmacy are really overworking you." Grandma agreed, saying, "It is awful. Many days he does not stop for lunch, and he comes home very late for supper. His boss expects his employees to work very long hours." Daniel interrupted. "In the pharmacy where I work, everything is my responsibility, and if anything goes wrong, I take the blame for it." "So," Papa said, I can see, actually, for several years I have been thinking of opening my own pharmacy, to be my own boss, and to feel that all my blood, sweat and tears have been worth it. What if we were to go into business together? I am sure we would be successful." Daniel's eyes opened bigger, saying, "How can that be possible? Do you have enough money to set up a business?" "I think so," Papa said, "especially if you were certain to receive the contributions for your 10 years of work when you resign from your present employment. We could join forces and together run a very good pharmacy." Grandma was excited by the conversation, and she brought some liquor. My father sampled it and said, "Mum, thank you. You have some. Though I am enjoying our conversation, I would prefer to have some coffee." The brothers discussed the details of their business plan all night. Grandma drank the sweet liquor while encouraging her sons with the future project. As the cocks started crowing, Grandma was helped to bed by her sons as she was feeling tipsy. They all went to bed happy. Bogota was unrecognizable, with so many bars, cafes, cinemas, theatres, busy streets, with men standing at corners in suits and hats talking. Papa was feeling a bit dizzy. The altitude was hitting him hard, and he was forced to rest frequently. So he took the opportunity to chat to people. He was right outside the offices of the newspaper El Tiempo when a crowd of people came along, shouting slogans, carrying big banners printed with the words, "Down with the government," "Gaitan, our next president," "No more corruption." For more than 3 hours he could not move until the crowd of people had passed by. Then he took the tram and went home. Obviously, everybody was talking about the demonstration. People were fed up with the current government, and Jorge Eliezer Gaitan was the man favoured by most people to be the next in power. "Where have you been?" Grandma said as soon as she opened the door. "I was worried to death." He said he'd been rediscovering the big city, and the events of the day had been very interesting. "Please, Mum, I don't want you to worry about me. I'm an adult and I can look after myself." He took Grandma by her arm and they both sat down. "Now, tell me, what do you think of this Gaitan? There was a huge demonstration in town, and that is why I could not come earlier." "Right, first of all, I am still your mother, and I will always be worried about your safety. I know that you have just come from the jungle, but the city is a concrete jungle, and you must be very careful." Papa nodded and gave her a hug. "Well, what about Jorge Eliezer Gaitan? His mother is a courageous woman. She has educated her son well. He has morals, a quality which is lacking in some politicians. Definitely, Gaitan is the best. He rises and shines, and he has defended people's rights. I just hope he becomes the president." Papa said, "What about his enemies?" "Gaitan is educated and capable. He came from a humble background and is the only one that has been able to challenge corruption. Therefore, he has many enemies. However, with the support of the working class, the liberals, and the majority of the intellectuals, he could transform the country for the better. He is truly the saviour that many people have been waiting for. Daniel came home with a great smile, saying, "You see, Mum, today I am on time for supper. Also, I have good news. I handed in my letter of resignation, and in 2 months I'll be a free man." The embracing brothers cried out, "Yes, yeah!" They had agreed to go at the weekend and have a look for premises in a new commercial area. Then Daniel said to my father, "Guillermo, there is something I would like to tell you. I'm seeing a lady, and things are getting serious between us, and maybe next year we're going to get married. I think she could be a great help, giving us a hand with the cosmetics and perfumes, and so be an asset to the pharmacy." "This is all such good news," Papa said. "A lady in your life? Great. That could bring prestige and elegance to the business. Congratulations, by the way." They were laughing like two teenagers and speaking in unison. "Let's look for a suitable property without delay." It took a lot of effort, but within a year, the pharmacy and Perfumerie Normale was well established. The dream had come true. The brothers attracted a great deal of affection. For their kindness and hard work, they were greatly loved and admired by many people. The village of Tocaima had an idyllic setting. In the warm environment, the fragrance of the guava fruit enticed the senses into laziness and the pleasures of life. Papa drove his Chevrolet through the countryside along the meandering, endless roads until he reached the Hotel Nevado. He found his uncle in the middle of organising a dinner party for the weekend, but as soon as he saw his nephew, he stopped what he was doing and with a big smile said, hello, stranger," and embraced and held him tight. What a lovely surprise. Uncle Aparicio ordered refreshments, and they started to catch up with the news of the last 11 years. My father told him the latest about the pharmacy. Uncle was amazed at how well things were going for his nephews, despite the economic problems and political turmoil of the times. "Well, the thing is, we all need medicine, and I am pretty sure you can build up customers very quickly. You and your brother are excellent pharmacists." "Thank you for the compliments and, as usual, supportive words," said Papa. "It's the truth," his uncle replied. "But now, go and enjoy the swimming pool. It is delightful over there. I'm too busy, otherwise I would join you. I'll see you later for supper." It most certainly was delightful. The swimming pool was surrounded by lemon and orange trees, hibiscus and different colours. A range of mountains in the distance framed the picturesque landscape. It was magical. Sitting in a deck chair, Papa watched the world go by. Later, he practiced his swimming, river style. While in the water, he caught sight of the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. He was confused for a moment, but an irresistible force overcame him and he swam towards her. In seconds, they were captivated by one another, yet very nervous. My father asked if he could see her soon and have her telephone number. She mumbled the number 11937 and then dashed away from the pool. Papa repeated the number constantly whilst swimming to make sure he didn't forget it. He really felt like a child full of joy again. Over dinner in the hotel, he was full of enthusiasm, retelling his uncle what had happened in the pool. "You see, Uncle, that has never happened to me before. She put a spell on me. Also, she gave me her telephone number, which suggests that she likes me too. Uncle put his hand on my father's shoulder, saying, "You must be careful. Her father, Don Carlos, is a very jealous man and has an explosive temper, but I'll do my best to facilitate a meeting." Immediately, Uncle Aparicio, a large man, stood up and approached the table where Don Carlos was having dinner, whispered into his ear, patted his back, and then, with a smile, returned to the table. He told my father, "I just told him not to disappear after dinner because I have a surprise for him." Later, Papa was introduced formally to Don Carlos and the beautiful Yolanda, and they sat together for drinks and conversation. When my father recalled some of the anecdotes of the savannah, Don Carlos jokingly asked, "Did you think your brain was getting ossified during all these years in the wild? What a hellish way of spending your life, so far away from civilization." "On the contrary," said Papa, "I had such an exciting time, and being an incurable romantic, I loved to be there, so close to nature. I learnt a huge amount about the wild animals and from the people of the region. Also, the job gave me the chance to save the money to establish my own pharmacy in Bogota." Well done, Uncle Aparicio thought. A good introduction for himself. Yolanda, meanwhile, was looking and listening to my father with flushing cheeks. She was enchanted. The gentle breeze enveloped the night, and the stars seemed brighter than ever for Yolanda and Guillermo. They talked for hours and hours, without realizing how quickly the time had passed. Walking in the park, Papa invited her to have an ice cream, and now and then they sat on a bench, looking into each other's eyes. All of this happened under the strict vigilance of Don Carlos, who followed them at a distance, in the company of Uncle Aparicio. Yet the two little birds didn't care, because they were engrossed in themselves, planning ahead for the dinner party dance of the next night. That night, none of them slept well. Don Carlos struggled with the pillows most of the night and pretended that he was concentrating on reading his book. Papa and Uncle Aparicio celebrated with a glass of whiskey. And Yolanda, oh Yolanda, she almost didn't know how to control her feelings. At the party on the following night, she was dressed with great panache in silk and velvet, looking gorgeous. They danced and danced all night, both blinded by happiness. "I would like to visit you in Bogota," Papa said, "so you can introduce me to your mother, brothers and sisters." "It would be a pleasure to have you visit. Come as soon as you can. They would all be delighted to meet you." Upon his return to the capital, Papa excitedly told the wonderful news to his mother and brother. The following weekend, he serenaded Yolanda. No one in her family had expected that tradition to happen so soon. Nevertheless, everybody enjoyed the music and the good news of the couple and their love. It was pure bliss. I will always remember my father saying, "C'est la vie, destiny drew us together."